So, very good evening, everyone. I welcome you all today. My name is 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗀. I'm one of the senior advisors here at Protouch Professional Training. So, before we start with today's webinar, I would like to take a moment and give every one of you a quick overview about Protouch. So, Protouch is a certification institute which provides upskilling courses to the professionals like HR generalists, HR analytics, POSH trainer-trainer certification program, corporate trainer and facilitator certification program, certified practitioner coach certification, emotional intelligence trainer and coach, and organizational development and change management certification program. Along with that, we also provide customized programs, and all our programs are accredited by the topmost certification bodies like ICF, International Coaching Federation, SHRM, HRCI, and CPD. Today, I'm very glad to see many of our existing participants, alumni, many of my team members as well, and aspiring students of Protouch who have joined us on this learning session. So before I begin, I would like to take a moment to introduce the audience to our guest speaker today, Priya Murchandani. Priya is a committed L&D professional and a practicing ICF coach dedicated to assisting people in developing them in better versions of themselves, personally and professionally. And with more than 18 years of experience in diverse industries like telecommunication, aviation, manufacturing, automobile IT, and worked in organizations like Vodafone, Kingfisher, Thermax, and currently with Volkswagen IT Solution. She holds a very wide perspective and understanding of a variety of topics, which helps her navigate individuals in the right direction. So she's very dedicated and passionate L&D professional, constantly striving to make a difference with her work. Priya, it is a very big honor to have us with you today evening.
Thank you so much, Amit. I'm equally privileged to be part of this forum.
Now, I'm delighted to invite someone who needs no introduction at all, our beloved founder of Protouch, Dr. Aparna Sethi, who would be the moderator for today's session. Over to you, Aparna ma'am.
Thank you for assuming that I'm very famous and I would love to be. Right. So, very good evening, everyone, and very, very warm welcome to all of you. And yes, I'm Dr. Aparna Sethi. I comes with 20 plus years of experience, worked in various areas like marketing, HR, sales, teaching, worked in various industries, and proudly, humbly can say mother of Protouch. So that is where my journey began, and it's my honor that I will be moderating today's session with Priya. However, when we were discussing Priya and me, that, hey, what is it that we can discuss about today? And we said Priya has got a substantial experience in training and development, learning and development. We thought, why not to have some, notes exchange today? And that is what we would like to talk. Then we also discuss, we have diverse participants. That is, we have people from HR, we have people from L&D, we have people from OD, Organization Development and Change Management. We have people from coaching, and, very important that will I be able to relate to everyone? So we thought of bringing something, thought of making one small change in our webinar. The way we conduct, generally we directly get into the presentation, but we thought of giving you some information on TNA first, that is trading need analysis. And it's my privilege that I have also my business partner come life partner, Rahul, is also attending the session today, and certainly look forward for his insights when we will be delivering the session today. Okay, so one question to everyone here. What profession are you into currently? Are you HR? Are you an advocate? Are you a coach? Are you a trainer? If you're a coach, you can also mention your niche. You're a parental coach, executive coach, are you OD professional? Just mention that so that, we will get to know you more and more, and we can, connect to all of you. Amazing. So we can see the cohort which we have today are like trainer, HR, trainer, hospitality trainer. So now that's very specific. Rama is in the government job, trainer, HR. And as we guessed, okay, Kanshi is also from L&D and OD. That's wonderful to know. Sonal is an educator, HR manager. Aparajita, is a dietitian. Amazing. I think that's a different profession altogether. And Aparajita, do let me know in the chat box what brings you to this session, right? That will be really good. Rohit, that's so wonderful to see you. And many, many people from Delhi NCR are joining, and we are looking forward to catch up face to face to you on 3rd August. Wonderful. HR Prakash. And yes, we have Priya Batra, who is a, uh, Priya Mukherjee is a trainer. Okay. Okay. Whatever work comes to on my table, that is what you deliver. Maybe. That's wonderful to know. And I think that's a true sign of a leader and the entrepreneur, because we don't have a choice, right? But serve to the people. Amazing. Sumit is a corporate trainer. I'm sure you're from Hyderabad, and that's so nice to see you. Great, everyone. And we have 50 plus people maybe have been joining to us right now. And really appreciate your time, because it's a working day and 7 o'clock peak time, and you are joining us. That shows your hunger to learn, right? And some of you might be knowing all about what is training need analysis, what it is exactly. However, let me take you hardly, 9 to 10 minutes, that what exactly the training need analysis is. And those who know it, certainly it will be a good refresher for you. And I've promised that I will keep it crisp, so that we will get to know a lot of practical understanding from, uh, Priya. And here we go, everyone. So let me take you through, very important is a training need analysis. However, I would like to know one question to all the audience, and it will be nice if you can let me know. There are companies who arrange, first of all, do you think training is important in companies? And if yes, why? Let me know. So you can put it in the chat box. Feel free to unmute yourself and you can discuss. So my question to you, do you think training is important at workplace? And if yes, why? Okay, Hardik is saying creating future leaders. Oh, it's an oxygen for a growth or the organization. Sonal is saying upskilling is important. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonderful. That's so nice to know, right? Great. However, sometimes trainings can be disappointing when it happens at workplace, right? So what do you think? What makes it disappointing when you go to training programs at workplace? If you can put it. So thank you so much. Everyone is contributing. So my next question to you is, sometimes attending training programs at workplace becomes disappointing. You are not able to relate. What do you think? What happens there?
Can I share my thoughts?
Yeah, Rohit, go ahead, please.
So, good evening, firstly. So basically, I'll quote a real example. I was just talking to my cousin 2 days back, and he's a senior VP in a large company, and he just told me, Rohit, I just went through a 2-day training, full day training, and my God, it was so, such a waste of time. And he said we were 13 leaders in the room for 2 days, and we did not get anything out of it. There was no key takeaways or deliverables, and it was very boring. So I just thought I'll share that. So sometimes when you're not able to deliver the essence of what the objective of the training is.
Amazing. Right. That is one reason, right? I hope you gave Protouch response there. Okay. That's wonderful to know that. Okay. So that is, someone is saying it's a half knowledge. Sumit is saying when it's not relatable, it becomes generic. Sunita is saying when what you look for and it's not met, right? I mean to say here two aspects are coming, everyone. One, each training is required and it's oxygen for organizational growth. However, there may be people who are not getting that right oxygen, right? There is a possibility, and people say that we are not able to relate why it is happening. Okay. Sometimes companies will come up with a lot of training programs, can be leadership, sales, and everything. And people still don't find it relatable because there is a particular way companies conduct trainings and they come to the particular topic. For example, if particular company is going and investing for emotional intelligence training, and it is a vast topic, right? But still people don't relate it, and there can be many reasons. Because if company or the organization is not able to follow the proper process of training, designing, need analysis, then this may happen. So very quickly, for your reference, everyone, you all must be knowing, still it is good to go back to the basics sometimes, that, very important, there is a training need analysis, but there is a ADDIE model. I hope all of you must be knowing this. However, it is good to touch base again, right? What ADDIE model talks, it is all about the training design. It says that first we all need to analyze the situation. Can you see this? Analyze the situation, understand the gaps. What do we mean by that? That means situation is also like, for example, what is the need of the organization currently? That can be the cultural need, right? Cultural need, that can be skill need, that can be sometimes nothing but like, for example, sometimes companies arrange some programs on cultural needs. That means, for example, ethics, for example, some kind of processes, some kind of skills which are required. And skills can be related to leadership, related to technology, right? And related to many more. Sometimes people say, oh no, that is not important, but very important. Our company's performance is getting impacted. Performance of people. And then we say, okay, there is a gap in the performance and hence we need to do it. And hence everyone, companies will look at the situation. What is there in their company? We just cannot give because everyone is giving, let's give this to everyone. What is the need of the organization? What is the need of the employees? What is the need of the market? What is the need of the consumers? Lot of things will come into the picture, everyone. Am I able to relate to everyone? If I'm able to relate to everyone, just put R in the chat box, let me know. And there can be short-term as well as long-term trainings. Short-term trainings are like, for example, one-day trainings, two-day trainings, some kind of micro-learning, bite-sized learning, lot of types of trainings are given. And sometimes it can be longer. So people and my friends who are from OD, organizational development, background will be able to relate to me that they think that it's not only one training, but we need to make a longer intervention in the training program, which will have a cultural change, which will have technological change, it can be any kind of a strategy, and all departments will get frequent trainings. That training may not be classroom training, everyone. That can be, it can be even, for example, on the job training. That can be even, for example, coaching, one-on-one coaching. And this is called OD intervention. That is the organizational development intervention, which is a long term. Like recently, I'm working in one of the companies who wants to work in the area of diversity and inclusion. It's a 3 years intervention. Imagine, right? And that is what we call it as a OD. So everyone, if you look at it, companies will analyze what is the need, followed by, then they will design. Design can be based on your analysis. We need to make some informed decision. What are the big big deliverables. Okay. After that, we design and develop the training, right? But then we will get into detailing. How are we going to deliver the training? Like, for example, I personally relate to theater when I talk about training programs. It's like, first what is the bigger story you want to give. Then you get into the character developing. Then you get to the details of dialogue. Then you implement it. So this is how exactly the training. For example, right now also whatever you get to see is the front end. Right? Front end means this is what you're able to see. But how much Komal has worked for it? Priya and me had a discussion. What is the deliverable of about today's session? That is also a lot of thought is given. Lot of thought is given, right? And then we look at it and then we will say, implement the training. And the implementation will not stop there, but then we will evaluate the training. So since today's topic is all about, analysis, I will say we need to do analysis of organization. We need to do analysis of participants. And we also need to do analysis of task. Once we do analysis, we will understand exactly what is the gap is there. And to fulfill those gaps, we will come up with training. Have you got the conceptual understanding about training need analysis? Let me know so that then we can go ahead. Yes. Anyone? Okay. So most of you have got it. So I think now this is the time we should go ahead with today's guest today. I hope you like the delivery. I mean, the structure. What do I mean by that? Let me give you some conceptual understanding. Then we will have the practical understanding. That is where we try to have that. Let me speak about TNA and training first. Then we will go ahead with Priya. Okay. So Priya, thank you so much for taking out the time. And I would like to know, would you like to throw some light on training need analysis from your side? Over to you, Priya.
Yes, thank you so much, Aparna. Thanks for a beautiful context, first of all, because that just sets the tone for the evening. And also, Addy is one crux of the whole story. So it's good to start from there. So thanks for that. And before I start speaking, can I request all the participants to quickly put in your understanding on TNA? What do you think is TNA? Let's have it in the chat.
That's a good idea to understand what is their understanding. Great.
Okay, just I can see that you're taking time. Good that we're thinking, but that's fine. Throw whatever comes in your mind first. We can always keep brainstorming and write 2 times answer. I'm sure Dr. Panna will not say that you cannot write second time. So go ahead. Wait for training, a holistic view of actual reason for the training and objective and deliverable. TNA is what exactly is what needs of the organization in the terms of training. Okay. Why training is needed, the root cause. Okay. It is to correct and clear for smooth operation. Wonderful. I think we are to bridge the gap between actual and expected JD. The clear of issues we are trying to resolve. Key success factor. Okay. I think we are very much there, and I knew that I'm meeting experienced people. So please understand that L&D is, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing so many diverse ideas on the chat, because this just helps me to, get to the main story rather than getting into something that my audience already knows. So one thing we all must know that L&D is a huge space. We have so much of content. There's so much of depth of content. Each one of us are at different level. That's the only gap that we have. There's something that maybe I know, and then something that must be much known to you. So let's keep on sharing in the middle of session. I'm sure that'll keep us going with it. So thanks for that question, Dr. Aparna. So let's get to this. Maybe I'll focus on only some of three points here. I can see most of them have written this, that TNA is all about the current state and the desired state, and the gap. Gap is where you do the TNA to understand what is that gap, right? What I understand about TNA is it has two things, current state and desired state. When you talk about current state, we focus more on learners and the goal. Yeah. When we talk about desired state, we talk more around analysis, recommendation, and action. These are the two ways that you can look at it. Very important for all of us to know that not always TNA ends up with the outcome of having training. Yeah, because that's the trap. When an L&D person is told to do a TNA, I think we go with the mindset of suggesting training, recommending something to do with L&D, but not always the problem is there. So it's important to do a thorough check with a starting and end point from what business tells you. And when you do that, you show the true business acumen there, because you stay on the topic, you stay on the track. And when the outcome is, when you see the outcome, do it with a very unbiased way of already having an outcome in your mind that you are looking to deliver training, because then you'll end up recommending something. Yeah, so it's important that we understand, I think very well said by you, Dr. Aparna, that it is sometimes a performance issue that we are trying to address sometime. And to beyond this, sometimes it's productivity issue and sometimes it's quality issue. So it's important to know whether training is required or not. The first and the foremost thing in TNA is very, very important for us to know. The other thing, what I can add here in this question is, some of the things that we literally miss out. These are very, very small things and maybe helpful for all of you, and please feel free to add there. One is when you're doing TNA, it's about collecting data. It's about collecting a lot of data, speaking to a lot of people. So sometimes it becomes in fact, most of the time, it becomes very important for all of us how we handle data. So having that structure to handle the data is very, very important for TNA. Otherwise, at the end of let's take an example. If you're doing a focus group discussion at 2-3 levels, and when you do that, and you're collecting so much of data, let's say you've met 10 people, 15 people, at the end of all the meeting, consolidating all becomes very confusing. So having your templates, having your formats ready, having to know that how you're going to make an analysis of it, all those sort of things are very important. Yeah. The third point I can say here is the confidentiality of data. People will flow. People really want people who listen to them, okay? And you're just there, you're listening to them, you're sitting with them. And sometime in the conversation, the whole TNA part is kept aside and people keep on talking and you're listening to them because you're there, your ears, all ears to them. So confidentiality of data becomes very important. You must know that which data, what they're sharing may or may not be important for you, how you're not going to share it further, what you will document, what you will not document. Something that you will not document out of confidentiality, telling your stakeholders back that this is little confidential and while I hear the conversation, but let's handle it this way. Okay, so it's very important to bring that point to your stakeholder. And fourth point that for me, I feel that really becomes important sometimes, that the time you are having TNA, time and the timelines that you've taken to do TNA, both are important. Times, in case if you're having this, let's say somebody comes to you from business and says that there's a performance problem in my team and please, can you help me? When you go and do your TNA, there's a performance cycle which has just ended. The motivation levels are at different level. People are at, context is a little different. So you are going to expect some certain surprises. This could be very, very recency effect, and please avoid getting into a trap of that. Yeah, so the time is very important. Understanding the depth of problem is very important. And timelines, how much time do you take to deliver once you've picked up TNA? Otherwise, it starts losing its essence once you take it for too long. Yeah, so these are a couple of points that I can say. Any thoughts on that, or Dr. Aparna, if you feel like to add anything?
I think, you know what, I get to see here, and what is my biggest learning right now I have from this conversation is about data, right? So when you speak about data, collecting data, what type of data do you collect? And of course, I would also like to talk about the confidentiality, because which is very important. But what kind of data points you generally collect?
So I'll instead of giving literally like a field wise, I can see a lot of experienced people, and all of them must be having some or the other sort of formats with them for TNA. So we'll not go field wise, but maybe I can just say that TNA happens at different level. One is at organization level, when there is an initiative which is driven from strategy perspective, from vision or mission perspective. There are certain org goals from that perspective. The data is going to be very, very different. It will be more focused towards the goals. You would want to know what is the starting and the end point. What do you exactly want to drive? So, and when the second level is when you do it at team level. Yeah. So when you do it at team level, then it becomes very important to have a learner context there. Yeah, because learner context adds a lot of value. And third, when you're doing at individual level, that's when you kind of go into more of an interview style. You want to know everything about the context which is shared with you, everything about this person, and try to marry the two data points and see where's the gap. So this is how probably you can look at it. But if I have to just give away one tip, at all three levels, what's important is that if we can always have a thought process of 5W and 1H. Because whenever there's a problem statement that we're talking about, and if we have 5W and 1H, that just helps us to cater it well. Okay, I don't see Dr. Aparna. Is it that she's dropped out?
Just a second, Priya.
No worries. So by the time, any thoughts from the audience and any questions, we can probably pick up that. Okay, that's a good question. 5W and 1H is all about the questions: what, why, how, when, where. Those are the questions that we're talking about.
Okay, we are back. There was some glitch, and because of that,
No worries. That's okay. I think we all are now getting used to of this after pandemic.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes, that's so true.
Yes.
Okay, so, I think you were talking about data, and what is that I have taken away, that is organizational level goals, team level goals, which becomes very important. Is
Yeah.
my understanding right?
So I spoke about 3 levels of TNA. One is at org level. Second, you do it at teams level. Third, you do it at individual level. You just got dropped. That's when I was just speaking that the idea to cater all 3 is that one formula that you can keep is 5 W's and 1 H should always be your starting point in problem statement, which is what, why, when, where, and how. That just helps.
Yes, absolutely. And that is what Avinash has also written. Sumit has asked something, that could you please help with the examples of organizational, team, and individual level TNI approach? If you can give me any example,
Yeah.
that will be very useful.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think at organization level, I'm sure all of us experience initiatives coming, like a culture initiatives. Yeah. Or when we jump into some sort of a new product, new feature, new sort of values in the organization, they want to drive it to the entire organization. We come with the new models in the organization, PMS model, or there could be anything. There is a drive that goes on. So when these kind of drives are there, L&D has been told to lead these drives from a training perspective, from collecting data. Now, that is the place where probably we will, am I audible? Because I again see Dr. Aparna moving.
I'm there. Please
Okay.
go ahead.
Because your face is getting frozen, and so I'm just worried about my network too. Sorry for that, but the organization is all about that. And these are the type of initiative where you will have multiple rounds of interview style of DNA, where you will speak to your CHRO. You may want to have some conversation with MD, understanding the from vision and goal perspective. You will have a couple of conversation with function head. So that's how it is taken. When you talk about team level, it is typically in an organization setup, you will hear an HOD walking up to L&D and saying that, look, I have this problem. I have a new project, but I'm not seeing my team motivation to be at its peak to handle this. Or there's a performance issue, there's a productivity issue, quality issue. Now, when these kind of things come, these are some team examples that we're talking about. That's the place where typically you will go with focus group discussion. You may roll out a questionnaire to understand. You may want to have, some sales kind of a job. If it's a typical sales profile where people come up with such problem, then you also do something called as observation day with them, which is also called field visit. Yeah, so you go stay with them for a whole day, just observe their activities, see how they're talking, what they're doing, and these are some sort of way that you can tackle that DNA. And then comes an individual level where a person walks up to you and say that this particular person has really made my life miserable, and this person is not working at all, giving, whenever I'm giving feedback, he's not receptive to feedback. I really don't know what to do. He's a high potential, but somehow lacking XYZ. Can you help me? Now, that's a very individual specific. So that's when you would go like either a TNA as an interview style, or you may want to do 360-degree kind of a feedback for that person. You may want to go psychometric test if there's something that aligns to the requirement at that time. So that's how it bifurcate. Does that help?
Yeah, certainly. It certainly helps. And you know what I would like to add to this is, see, when they are on organizational level, so most of the time you will have long-term interventions like OD. When it is team level, then you will also have something like a very specific task-driven oriented training. When it is on individual level, as Priya has said very clearly that, you will take some psychometric, understand the person, and that is where even coaching will come handy.
Yes.
Because for one person, you cannot have a training, because
Yeah.
training will help that person to get the skills. Coaching will help that person to get over his personal problems and majorly the belief system if he or she has, right? And that is where the individual coaching can also happen.
Yeah.
So Priya, I'm very curious to know, because you yourself is a ICS certified coach. So being a L&D person, how coaching comes handy to you in your day-to-day job? Just if you can throw some light on that.
So it does. It definitely does. And but I keep talking. So there's a self-talk that keeps happening. Like I just mentioned in the start, that it's very important that whenever you're doing an TNA, you don't keep the outcome in mind. The moment I say that there's a call for one person and maybe I can suggest coaching or mentoring to this person, I can have a buddy along or something like that, then you're already going with the outcome in mind. So you will stay biased with your data for sure, or there's a higher likelibility that you will stay biased with your data. So it's important that we go with that open mind to first understand the problem statement and just gather data and do the analysis. That's very important. So, of course, I get a lot of opportunities internally. I have now set up kind of so I'm a culture coach in Volkswagen. And that's how people would reach out to me now. And I'm seeing a bit of that into that I have actually people in the waiting list waiting for having a coaching from me. But you have to hold back and you have to say, so I have certain group coachings and individual coaching where I've actually told in the first 10 minutes to the person, while I appreciate that you've reached out to me, but I think this problem doesn't require a coaching. Yeah, so it's good to, and since I'm practicing coach, I'm equally curious to make my hours and invest, but it's also important to be unbiased with the process. Very, very important in DNA.
Wonderful. That's so nice to know, because, you just don't keep giving people, but
Yeah.
very important it is, we, as a doctor's approach, we need to find out what is the pain area, and that is where we need to look for the right tool, and
Yeah.
then, then give a proper medicine. I think
Yeah.
that is fantastically coming. One of the companies we were very closely working with, which is in a microfinance. microfinance. Now we were in the way of developing sales training for them, and they were very specific. Now sales trainings are so common. People will say just go like that and kya sales mein karna hai, like that people think. However, this MD was very, very specific about it. And you will not believe, MD asked, to the L&D executives to spend two days with the field executives. Imagine, he said the field executive is going on two-wheeler, sit behind him or her and go. Because sales training, they wanted to deliver it on two levels. One, when the customer walks in, and when the field executive goes. And this is where we have, as you said, the field data. And that is where they could realize that when the customer walks in, you have an importance.
Yeah.
And when you are going there, then customer will not behave with you properly. And, this is where I could relate to your field visits, and that is so very important, everyone.
Yes.
Right? And focus group discussion also. And that is where your analytical skills will also
Correct.
come very handy. Right? So let me tell you, Divyanka, the focus here is on training today. The topic is going to be on training and development. And HR people has a role, or they, HR has a role in training and development. So today, if I'm disappointing to you, I'm really sorry for that. But topic is training and development, and hence our top focus is on training and development. And let me tell you, in some of the companies, you will have a separate L&D department, but few companies, HR only looks after the training and development also. So I hope that address, when are you all going to discuss about HR? I hope that address, okay? I think now Ekankshi is saying, in the process of doing a succession planning to develop the identified individual for key positions, what kind of approach would you be ideal? So if you have a succession plan, I think that's a very powerful question. Very good question, Ekankshi. Would you like to take that, Priya?
In process of doing a succession planning to develop the identified individual for key position, what kind of approach? Okay, so I think Inakshi, is that the person who
Inakshi,
has,
yes.
So I
Yes.
think Inakshi, in case of, these are specifically an IDP kind of an approach, right? Where you know that the person is spotted to be either a successor or a critical talent in the organization. Now, in that case, you need to have a pretty much an IDP kind of an approach. And 360 is highly recommended. Because many a time when you delve into, you have to trust the process in this, because manager would say, when I look at this person to come to my level, these are the only two skills where I see the gap, rest all is fine. So which means the person has already a higher potential. And so you're talking about a future skills to be developed to be to the next level, right? So that's where we will not get into actually dwelling upon more of a basic questions, what, why, how, and those kind of things. Now you already know your starting point there, your current state. Your desired state is that he should be able to get the next level in a specific time period. For that, you, business, and the person sit down and decide the IDP. So first you and business sit down and decide the IDP, and of course then include the person, have that. It's important to have a buy-in between the three of them. The moment you see the buy-in is high, the person also agrees, yes, these are the points where I need to work. Because if he doesn't agree, let's say he's written time management is the only problem, otherwise I see he's good to go. But if person believes that I think because I'm handling multiple projects, I don't think my problem is time management. My manager probably says this because he doesn't realize that he is right now overwhelmed me with the project. Okay. So ironing out those sort of factors and making sure that, IDP is very crystal clear with a smart goals. Okay. That is very important. And to develop the IDP, prerequisite to that is 360. Okay. So when there is less buy-in, when there's a less buy-in, what you do is you tell them, go 360, take feedback from your vendor, take feedback from your customer, take feedback from your seniors, juniors, everybody. And now this is what you see, this is what people are saying, and let's make now a smarter goal out of it. So it's not about managers, it's not about individual, it's about your ecosystem. That's what they see in you. And then probably developing that IDP, action oriented with timelines, working on it. That's how you tackle with that TNA. Yeah, that's probably I have seen.
Right.
Yeah.
So everyone, some of you may young HRs, maybe, IDP is individual development plan. And most of the companies, everyone, there is also competency comes into the picture. We also say that is a key success attributes in a particular role. So now, for example, because it is more on a behavioral competencies. So if a particular role requires finance, people, business, for example, 3 kinds of knowledge: business, another is finance, and third is a people management. And understand that everyone come with their own competence and some natural talent. One particular person can be naturally good at people, but not at business. Naturally good at business, but not great at people. And this is where, we have to find out the gap and develop the IDPs and go ahead. So that is also another way of doing the succession planning based on the competencies. I hope you are getting a lot of insights here. And she has already written, thank you, Priya. So thank you so much for that. Okay. So there is a wonderful question which has come from our seasoned trainer who believes in, very, very enthusiastic trainer, I must say, that is Lakshit. Lakshit is here and he has said that, thank you for asking this question. You have made my job easy, let me tell you. Okay, thank you for that. So the question is, how does the approach to TNA differ when conducted by an external freelancer or an independent consultant to an internal learning and development department? I think it's a powerful question. Both of us are there.
So like I said, yeah, thanks for the question. That puts me also in thought process, which is very good. The only thing, and of course, rest of you feel free to share, but my thought and my perspective here would be that I don't think there should be any difference, first and foremost. The only thing that I can say here is, like we talk about field visit, right? It's only about experience. A consultant and an external trainer, if you feel is more experienced in handling this, you must give it to them. Difference, how they will bring on table is basis their experience. So I think that is the difference that you would see. I don't think, agar aap apne TNA mein you are having certain tools, while designing it, they will also have some tools. If you have a thought process, they'll also have. In fact, to an extent, if you are the one who's initiated, I would say that your clarity to a starting point and end point has to be so clear that when even anybody in the organization is carrying the TNA process, you are pretty clear what you are expecting out of it, irrespective of what tool is used, how it is used. So I think it's more about that than a differentiation. Time investment is what you will see tremendous there, because as an internal person, you will end up having an easy access to PD heads and this and that, and quickly you'll sit with them, iron out certain things. You know the nuances of culture. So these things you don't have to ask, you just understand when somebody says. While in an external person, you may have to kind of bring certain examples, certain real-time cases to make that person first immersed into your culture and understand what are these nuances, where is it coming from. Those are some things that you will see different, but when it comes to actually TNA process, there won't be major difference.
I think Priya is from the internal side of TNA, and my role also is into freelance or an independent trainer, So when I look at it, there are 2 kinds of people I come across generally. One is HR, another people are L&D. And when we come across L&D people, they're very clear. They will tell us this is the competence, this is what we want to do.
Yeah.
And they're very clear on that. However, when we discuss with HR professionals, many times we also need to direct them and ask them that, ask more and more what problem you're trying to solve. So it is more external approach. And as I heard her saying that, we may not go in that depth because ultimately companies knows the culture, business goals and priorities very well.
Yeah.
So we generally go solve that particular problem and come back. Okay. But here that's a long-term ways internal L&D people will look at. I hope now Lakshit has got the answer for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Priya. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lakshit.
Let me just share my thoughts on this. Hi, Priya. My name is
Yes.
Rahul.
Hi, Rahul.
So as trainers, I think trainers play important role here. And being my role, be involved in activities with the organization. I generally come across three kind of clients, or organization for simplicity when I'm discussing the needs with them. First, organization who are they know the problem, but they don't know what training is to be delivered.
Yeah.
So they understand that what problem they are dealing with. They're dealing with less sales. But what in sales they need to train, they don't know. Okay, and they need an external help.
Correct.
Someone who can speak to them. Second kind of organization that I have come across is who are absolutely clear what is the training, what they want to train people on. They are more structured organization in that sense, but not necessarily. The third type of organization where our role becomes significantly important are those organizations which have identified the training need, but they have done it absolutely wrong. Let me give you one example here. I was talking to one very big used car manufacturing organization, and they said, we want to train our salespeople on stress management. I smiled. I said, why there is stress? They said, no, they're not able to handle stress. I said, I understand, but the question is why there is stress. I can very well come happily train them on stress management and go back. But why there is stress? They say, whenever there's sales pressure, they can't take stress. I said, my question is why there is a sales pressure? Because sales pressure will come only because of two reasons. Either the product is wrong or the skills are weak. And hence what you need is relook at your product and train them on selling skills rather than train. So after cutting the long story short, eventually we agreed that the training that should be given either on the selling skills or give managerial training to the sales managers so that they should not give stress. Correct. Rather than training people how to handle stress. I think, and that's where the role of an external person who's listening as an outsider comes, is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And just to add there, Rahul, that sometimes while these all three problems exist, and you may be pretty much aware as being on the, on the side where you have more knowledge and more wisdom around these topics, but sometime, doing a TNA with, when you see the rigidity of a problem statement, TNA with a diverse group helps. Because then that just brings out the essence of the problem. Sometimes the problem only exists at top, and sometimes the problem exists at executive level. So bringing that nuances in the picture helps you to understand whether it is a real problem, real challenge, or it is that somebody is stuck on some feedback there. Yeah. But thank you. Thanks. That was a very good input for, at least for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for contributing. And I can see a lot of clapping, a lot of beautiful and thoughtful comment. And that's wonderful insight. And everyone is loving what you have contributed. Thank you so much. So keep coming and keep contributing. That encourage all the participants. In the meanwhile, let me take questions from Sumit. Sumit is saying external trainers I think he has given his insight. Is my understanding right? Then the question? External. Okay. So Dinesh is asking what can be done differently if continuous asking why to stakeholders can be problematic. Dinesh, would you like to come unmute yourself and ask the question? The question is not very clear. Are you
Yes,
there?
definitely. Yeah, I can hear you. My doubt is not a question, but my doubt is that if we continue, because if we are working in an organization where there are too many trainers and leads and other uh, people are there, so if we continuously asking why to the stakeholders, sometimes they can be take on their ego and they can tell us, yes, if you don't want to do it, we can go with the external and some other people. So that can also be problematic. So if we continuously asking why to them, can we ask them that what is the outcome you want by doing this type of training? If we go ahead with any type of training for them, those sales people. So what the outcome you want and how you want to execute this type of training for the people development? Because sometimes I feel so, because there is a gap in the age, gap in the experience, and continuously asking why to the people can be problematic. That is my personal experience. That is why I'm asking.
Okay, so I think my perspective here, Dinesh, would be that at least in coaching, we say that try to minimize why with your stakeholders, because that puts them to a defensive state, and they would probably take it pretty much personal there. So try to reduce that. Instead of asking why you want to do, I would suggest switch to a proper structure there. Have your couple of questions which you feel is important for your execution of any training. And that becomes make it a part of process. When you share that with the stakeholder, have it in black and white first, let them absorb that kind of a process first, to know that every time I'm going to ask a training, I have to also give a couple of things in writing as a, or maybe I have to fill a format before I jump into the solution. And what you're saying about the outcome, your TNA questionnaire should have this question. This is a non-negotiable thing. Like I said, starting point and end point. Both has to be there. So your endpoint is the outcome. What are they expecting at the end of the training or at the end of the intervention? So that has to be there. Yeah. So it's just the method maybe that you may have to change. But I'm sure once they get a hang of it, that they'll be glad to know that you are driving this genuinely with the outcome in mind.
Yeah, thanks, dear. Thanks for adding value, because in our organization there are 25 trainers. So sometimes that can be create some problems. That is why I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Priya, for that. And since there are many freelance independent trainers, consultants are also here, coaches are also here, I would like to ask you one question, and which is in fact, there are two questions I'm combining here. That is, in which area or in which, what is the criteria you use when you go for the external trainer? And on what criteria you evaluate external trainers before giving them that assignment?
That's for the audience, right? Aparna?
No, this is for you. One
Okay,
is
for me. Sorry,
in
I
which,
thought
in
that's
which,
for.
yeah, in which situation you decide that now we should go for the external trainer. And if when you go for the external trainer and the coaches, on what criteria you evaluate them?
Okay. If I have to put it on the lighter note, I think budget becomes one of the constraints for all of us. So budget goes first in terms of deciding whether it goes external and internal. This is the different part of the story, not proper an L&D core. But that is one of the factor for sure. Second, I think when you see less buy-in in the organization from management, it's an org initiative where you have to bring that seriousness, where internal people will not be taken as seriously as an external trainer. Those could be some of the times where we would reach out to an external person. From the technology point of view, if I have to say, then even the resources and things like, let's say, technology side, people would need labs, softwares, and things like that. So we would end up having a vendor or a consultant who can provide the entire environment to the learner, which internal people can't provide. So environment becomes another factor which will make us choose the external vendor. Aside there are a couple of more factors, but they are pretty much small things that we have an experience with somebody who's done it well, feedback is very good, then we would like to go with those trainers and vendor for sure. What we ask them, I think at least my team, when I probably tell them to evaluate a vendor, there's a set of questions that we've designed, and it's different for a specific training versus intervention versus technology training. Technology training will have questions more to do with environment. What environment do you need for a particular technology, and the readiness of a business to do with this? So focus will be there. When it is about intervention, I think we would want to know the project management's capabilities of the vendor. Also, multiple trainers. In a single training, you may want to evaluate only 2 trainers, but in an intervention, I may want to know whether you have a good pool of trainer, so that until our intervention is going, it goes very, very smoothly and execution happens, irrespective whichever trainer takes over in a session in case one backs out or for any XYZ reason he's not able to do it. So those are some things in intervention. In an individual training, it will be a very, very specific check on that topic, the domain expertise and understanding. Those are some things.
Okay, thank you so much. And that is very, very insightful, because many trainers will get to know that. And there is another question, I think Saraswati is asking, how can a training analysis go right for an organization that has branches in different locations? Good question, that is states, cities. Will the TNA will have an impact on, state-wise? That is what the question is, Saraswati.
Since these are on the spot answers, so I'm just sharing my loud thoughts here, but I'm sure there are more deeper answers that we can look for here. But currently, I was actually maybe a week or 2 weeks back, I was reading something. This was around Udemy course. And what people are now talking about is the LNA, then TNA, okay? And that's the whole thing that has changed post-pandemic. We're talking about TNA. If we have 100 trainings, we're doing 100 times TNA. We have 10 intervention, we're doing 10 TNAs. Now we're talking about LNA, and this is called learning need analysis. What does that mean is organizations are moving towards actually starting their process of LNA very, very close to their strategy meets that happens every year in the organization, where they decide their goals, their strategy for the year, what they're planning, where they're planning to move, what are the new portfolios they're opening. When they're talking about these nuances, LNA happens there. So that goes a little deeper to understand. And I'm sure you all being from L&D, you would know that we figure out at the end of the TNA whether it's a knowledge gap, skill gap, or attitude gap, right? So that's what people do at an LNA level, that if it is a new portfolio they're talking about, then once the resources and every discussion is done, now also understanding the gap, knowledge gap, skill gap, attitude gap, and that's where they design a plan in the organization and sell it to the business. So internal selling of the training. So if you have a larger organization where you have a diverse sort of entities and all, maybe that kind of a thing may work where you have more top-driven approach. But of course, it's very important in these aspects to have pilots and dipsticks, both. Have a pilot done to do a check whether you're going right. And second, having a dipstick of whether what I'm doing is giving me a return what I'm expecting. It should not happen at the end of the year. We are surprised ki itna kuch kiya, itni mehnat hui, but ultimately we've not achieved what we wanted to. So those sort of things. So pick up one business, try it out, and then move larger.
Wonderful. That's a great answer, even though it was a spontaneous answer you were saying, right? Yes. However, when we are globally working or when we are working on a national pan-India level, certain strategies will remain same and the skill development will remain same. Maybe how are we delivering will change. Maybe the language will change. Maybe the examples will change. But however, the big message will remain same when it comes to the national level and global level strategies. That will be my take, everyone. And I hope it is we have now almost 8 o'clock. We have reached everyone. And I think we had a great interaction with Priya. In 1 hour time, out of which I think 10 minutes I have taken this much time. I think Priya has given us a great knowledge, everyone. Let's thank her in the comment box. It will be really great to have this, right?
Maybe I'll just leave each one of you on two thoughts, because one, that in case if you are still at a stage where you don't have formats, where you don't really have the structure on your TNA, my suggestion would be please go a little deeper on the models like what Dr. Aparna showed. ADDIE model, you can go deeper on Kirkpatrick model. You can also look at WARC model and Bloom taxonomy. When you look at these things, you'll be able to design your questions very well of TNA. The second thought that I wanted to share with all of you at the end is that please understand the context of current learner and context of what they should be able to do at the end of the training. These two contexts are very important when you are doing a TNA, because if you want to master the skill of entire L&D cycle, TNA is the most core of it. It brings quality to your work. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And that is what we always believe it at Protouch, that don't be a content-driven trainer, but be a context-driven trainer, everyone. And the time has come to say goodbye, right? And thank you, Priya, for taking out
Thank
time.
you so
And
much.
the very wonderful thing is this, Priya keeps on skilling herself. That is what we got to know just now, that she's reading a lot. In fact, she's one of the participants from POSH TTT, which we are providing, right? So I will say thank you once again, Priya. Thank you, Komal, for organizing. Thank you, Amit, for hosting it. Thanks, Achan. And do keep in touch with us on Protouch pages, where you will get to know about such kind of knowledge sharing sessions. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Priya, once again.
Thank you. Thank you, Parna, for inviting me. Thank you so much for everyone for wonderful questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.